In this tabletop review, we're going to be taking a look at a firearms training aid made by Mantis. This is the MANTISX system. And what is MANTISX? MANTISX is a revolutionary, patent-pending firearm attachment that helps firearms enthusiasts and professionals train more efficiently. While attached to a pistol or rifle, it analyzes every shot and generates actionable data you can use to improve your shooting mechanics. If you don't have a rail on your firearm, they have adapters available. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I have two adapters here that I'm going to showcase. So the Mantis X system runs $149.99. The rail attachments, if you need to purchase one, let's assume your gun doesn't have an integrated Picatinny rail like the 9mm shield, which is also something I'm going to showcase a little later. In that event, you can purchase a rail adapter which mounts to the bottom of your magazine. Now, shown here right now is their generic rail adapter, which runs $10, and the 9mm shield adapter, which runs $25. So we'll talk about the rail adapters a little bit later, and I'm actually going to install these and show you how to install rail adapters and what you need to do to install a generic adapter. So if you have a firearm that does not have an integrated Picatinny rail and they do not offer a specialized rail adapter, you can use the generic one. Alright, so when you purchase this and you get it, it's going to arrive in this box right here, and we'll go ahead and take this out. Included is a USB charging cable. That is how you charge it. It has an integrated battery, and it ships in this very nice Pelican case. And it includes an instructional sheet and a Mantis sticker. The USB cable, it's just the cable. There's actually no power adapter, so you can plug this into your computer, or if you have a cell phone cigarette lighter adapter or a cell phone wall plug that you can plug a USB cable in, you can use this with that particular adapter. Alright, so first off, I'm impressed with how it ships. This is a little miniature Pelican 1010 flight case that's pressurized. Very nice little case to ship it in. And it's very protective as well, because we've got foam on the top here and thick foam on the bottom with a cutout specifically for the MANTISX. So the box is most impressive right off the bat. This is the MANTISX right here. You can see we've got one flat-headed screw that you have to take out to mount on your Picatinny rail. The rear of the unit is where you plug in your USB cable for charging, and there's a little button down on the bottom that you press to turn it on. When the little green light is flashing, that will indicate that the unit is on and ready to be connected to your cell phone. So that is the unit. What I've seen so far with this unit, I have experimented with this and mounted it to several different firearms and tested it. It works exactly how it should. The quality and the craftsmanship here is top-notch. Nothing that really jumps out at me. So that's the MANTISX. Now, you're probably wondering, how does this work? Well, first off, you would connect this to your accessory rail, just like any other accessories. Then you would install a smartphone application, turn on the MantisX, and pair the device with the phone via Bluetooth. And this application is available for both Android and iOS. For the purposes of my demonstration, I will be showcasing this using an iPhone 6s. If you have an iPhone 7 or an iPhone 5, that shouldn't be a problem. I don't own an Android phone, so I'm assuming that the download and setup procedure would be virtually identical to an iOS device. So, you are going to install your application, and you're going to pair the device like mentioned. Then you'll proceed into evaluating shooting performance, identify areas of improvement, and track progress over time. I'm going to demonstrate that as well. I just want to get some of the talking points out of the way right at the moment. Also wanted to talk about what exactly the Mantis does. It detects each shot you make, analyzes the movement of the firearm during the trigger pull, and assigns a score to each shot that signifies deviation from the aiming position. Based on the movement patterns of the firearm, MantisX identifies areas of improvement and provides coaching that will improve your mechanics, your score, and your precision. MantisX keeps track of all your shooting sessions and generates useful reports that will help you identify your shooting trends, gauge your progress, and set adequate improvement goals. Alright, so I'm halfway through my talking points here. What I want to do now is, we've unboxed this, you saw the contents, you saw the MantisX. I'm going to go ahead and take out a Smith & Wesson shield, and I'm going to show you how to attach the accessory rail onto the magazine and how to mount the MantisX on the magazine of the Smith & Wesson shield. Alright, we're back with the Smith & Wesson 9mm shield here. As you can see via the shield, there is no integrated Picatinny rail. If it did have a Picatinny rail, it would mount like so. So in this situation, when you want to use a firearm like this to do your training, you're going to have to purchase the associated Meg Rail Adapter. This one is specific for the Smith & Wesson shield. I do not know if this fits the Smith & Wesson Shield 40. The MantisX website says it fits the 9mm shield. On that topic, let's talk about what rails are available from Mantis. So on Mantis's website, they have rails available for Glock, the Glock 42, the Glock 43, the Ruger LC9, the Ruger LCP, the SIG 938, the SIG P226, Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380, Smith & Wesson Shield 9mm, that's the one we're looking at, the Springfield XD9, the Springfield SDS, the Springfield XDM, the Wilson Combat 1911, and the Universal Stick-On rail, which is $10. That is this one. And I'm also going to show you after we install this rail adapter on the shield, I'm going to install this universal one on a Ruger LCP. And yes, they do have a Ruger LCP specific rail, but I've got the generic one here, and I'm going to show you how to install the generic one and kind of some tricks on how I came up with the best way to do this. Alright, so moving on to the Smith & Wesson Shield magazine base. So inside the package you have a replacement floor plate right here, and you have a floor plate lock piece that goes in the magazine. To do this, or to take apart your existing magazine, and in this situation I'm using the 8-round Smith & Wesson Shield magazine, you're going to need something to press in the tab that's right there, preferably something like the tip of a bullet or something that's not sharp. a dull object, which I don't have in front of me, but I will have one shortly. And what you're going to want to do is, on this particular magazine, we're going to move this little adapter back a little bit. This plate slides off one direction only, and when you press down on the little tab right there, like so, you can slide this plate forward, and you'll see it starts to slide. Now, one thing that is important to note, on a lot of magazines, the little plastic piece that's underneath this, that's sort of like this one, isn't captured to the spring. So if you just pull this off, the spring and that plastic piece are going to go flying out. Most likely the plastic piece will go flying across the room. So it's best, as you slide this off, put your finger over that piece. So when you remove this plate, you can see why, so you don't launch that piece. Alright, with that removed, we have the replacement item right here, and the two little tabs on it go up, obviously, and you're going to have to depress the spring, and the straight piece on the bottom goes down. The two little tabs, you can see right there, go up. You're going to want to get it placed. And again, it only goes in the magazine one way. You're going to want to put it in and hold it in with your finger as you slide this in place, the new rail adapter in place. And it pops right into place, and the little tabs lock into place. And then you can slide this piece back down, and you're good to go. So now what you've basically done is you've added a Picatinny rail to the bottom of this magazine. Okay, with our new Picatinny floor plate installed on the Smith & Wesson Shield here, next step is to install the Mantis X. It does have a flathead screw, so you need a flathead screwdriver to remove that. The USB port is considered the rear of the unit, so you should always try to orientate this towards the rear of the firearm. There is an option in the software application that will allow you to change the orientation, so you can make this the front and this the rear, which is a nice option. There might be some situations on different firearms where you would have to rotate this around. And it slides on like so, because it's just basically a Picatinny rail. You'll want to make sure you get it aligned, and then you can go ahead and reinstall the screw. Excuse me while I take this off camera just a second. So that's going to be our orientation. And if you don't get it aligned correctly, when you look through the hole right here, the Picatinny rail will block the hole and the bolt will not slide in. I took it off camera just to double check that and realized I installed it backwards, which isn't the first time I've installed something backwards. And you don't need a lot of torque. The nut on the back of this is captured in the Mantis, so it has not fallen out for me, so it should not fall out for you. Okay, so that's the installation of the Mantis. You can see this is an empty magazine, and that completes the installation of the Mantis X onto a Smith & Wesson Shield. So before we actually go any further and get into actually testing this, I'm going to install the Mantis X on a Ruger LCP to demonstrate to you how you could possibly install a generic rail if your firearm is not among the listed firearms that Mantis X makes a specialized rail for. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Ruger LCP in the magazine and get that going. Okay, so I have a Ruger LCP out here, and what we're going to need is your factory Ruger magazine. This particular magazine, I have an extended floor plate on it. We're actually going to take that off, and we're going to put one of the factory floor plates, which is a flat-based floor plate. This ships with Ruger. The Ruger comes with a smaller version of one of these, and it comes with the flat one. So if you are going to use the Mantis X on a firearm that does not have a specific rail adapter made for the magazine, and you're going to use the generic one, you're going to need to make sure you have a flat base. The generic one, again, runs $10 on Mantis's website, and as you can see, it is just a small section of Picatinny rail, and it has some really strong adhesive on the back of it. So first thing I'm going to do is remove this extended finger extension. Again, I'm just using the end of a paintbrush here, and I'm pushing down on the little tab that's inside there and then sliding the magazine forward. Now in this situation with the Ruger, you can see this little base plate down here. This is actually captured, so it's not going to go flying out like on the Smith & Wesson Shield. So that's great. What we're going to do is basically we're going to just install the flat floor plate. Actually, before I install the flat floor plate, here's the situation that you could run into. Unless you want to have this permanently installed on your magazine, you're going to have to think about, okay, when I'm done training, I want to take this Picatinny rail off and put my extended pinky extension back on. So the way this is basically set up, you can see there's no holes in this. So once I stick this on the base plate, I'm not going to be able to get the base plate off. So I thought about this, and I thought, well, I don't want to dedicate a magazine to permanently training with the Mantis X with the Ruger. So I needed to come up with a way so I could easily remove this without prying this off. Because if you can pry it off, but if you pry it off, the adhesive may not be so good. You may have to put more adhesive on it. And I was like, well, that's probably not the best way to deal with it. So what I did was I came up with an idea. I actually took a small, well, you can't probably see this too well. I took a small little piece of cardboard and I cut it out so it was in the shape of this lock plate right here, like so. So when I install this little piece of paper over the lock plate, hold it down and slide in my base. Now you can see that this is on there pretty good. It's on there nice and tight, but I can still pull it off because that little piece of cardboard is blocking the tab, so the tab won't get locked onto this base plate. So with this installed, I can go ahead and install the stick-on Picatinny rail. And what this will allow me to do is when I'm done training with this pistol, I can just slide this off, take out the piece of cardboard, and slide my other extension back on. So that way I don't have to pry the Picatinny rail off of this base plate every time I wanted to get my magazine back. So with that done, the next step is to stick this on here. I recommend two things if you're going to do this on your own magazine. The best thing to do is to take the Mantis X and take your Picatinny rail and slide it on there before you peel off the adhesives. Get it lined up, put the screw in, just tighten it down just a little bit. What we're basically doing is we're test fitting this. What you're gonna run into is you're gonna run into a situation where, especially on smaller framed handguns, where either your front fingers are going to be coming in contact with this, or your rear fingers are going to be coming in contact with it, and it may make for a uncomfortable gripping situation. So, for example, we have our magazine unloaded. We'll just go ahead and stick this in here. As you can see, we've got the rear of the Mantis X. If I mount it like so, we're going to have this part sticking forward. And what's going to happen is if you grip it, your fingers are going to be over the front of this. So that it's not going to affect the functionality of the Mantis X, but it may be uncomfortable, and it may cause you to change your gripping style, or it may affect the feedback that you get from the Mantis X. So if you move it further back so your fingers are not really pushed out, then it's going to kind of dig into the palm of your hand. Now, I don't think that's a major issue per se, because you're not firing live ammunition. Well, let me rephrase that. I'm not going to be firing live ammunition. I'm going to use this training aid for dry fire use. But if you were firing live ammunition, you'll have to make up your mind if you want this sticking back into the palm of your hand, or do you want it moved forward so it's flush with the palm of your hand, but your two bottom fingers are over the edge of the Mantis X. So you're going to have to come to that conclusion on how you want to mount this. I am going to mount this so that the unit is kind of flush. You can see that's kind of the position I'm going to mount it, right there. So the back of the unit is kind of flush with the palm of my hand. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off camera for just a little bit and mount this. The generic one does not come with any type of alcohol prep pads, so what you should probably do is make sure that the bottom plate on your magazine is clean and free of any oil, so you have a good sticky surface. So use a cotton swab and some alcohol or some sort of degreaser to make sure that's nice and clean before you peel this off and stick it on. Alright, I'm going to use a X-Acto knife here to peel up this protective tape over the rail. And you can see I've still got the rail mounted on the Mantis X. That's because I wanted to make sure that there was no question on where I place this on the rear of the magazine base plate. So and that's basically how we're going to do it. So you can see this is fairly flush on the back, but it's sticking out on the front, which is okay for me. So for this purpose, that's basically how we're going to do it. When you're done using this and you're ready to go back to your regular magazine configuration, you'll be able to just slide this off. Like so. Remove your little piece of cardboard and then slide your standard whatever finger extension you may have, if you even have it on there. Reinstall that and let the tab lock it in place. So that's pretty much how you would address installing a generic Picatinny rail on your firearm if Mantis doesn't make one specifically for your firearm. Alright, so let's move on. Alright, moving on. Let's get the Mantis X software installed on our phone. So in this example, we're going to be installing the iOS version. I actually already have it installed, but I'll just basically show you the kind of steps involved with doing that. On your phone, you would go into the App Store, and you can go to the search option and basically type in Mantis X, and you'll see that the autofill will come up with the Mantis X Firearm Training System. Do search, and you'll find it. Now, what you're going to also see is you're going to see two. You've got the main program here, and underneath that is a data recorder. So you have two applications you can install. The data recorder, I have not tested that, but it has to do with you capturing data and automatically sending it to Mantis for feedback on future updates and things that might be going on with the software. So that's optional. That's not necessary for you to install for your application. So once you find it, you can go ahead and just click on the install. As you can see, I've already installed it. So once it's installed, what's going to happen is it's going to pop up on your screen somewhere, wherever you might have space. There'll be a little grayish black icon with a little red Mantis logo right there where I'm pointing. And so that's the MANTISX. And we can launch the program. This is a login right here. If you do go through and create an account and log in, I'm going to skip that. At this connection screen where it says connect, it is going to try and connect to the MANTISX, so you'll have to turn it on. Also, make sure you have Bluetooth turned on before you do this, otherwise it will fail. So on the MANTISX here, the button on the back, we're just going to press it, and you'll see we'll get a green flashing light. And once it's on, if we do connect, it'll say connecting. The first stage is a calibration stage, and it will ask you to set the firearm down on a flat surface so it can calibrate itself, and you'll be good to go. Upon first installation, this program will step you through setting things up and moving through the menu, and it will kind of give you some instruction. I can't show that because I've already been using this, and that doesn't, once you've gone through the initial help, it doesn't pop up anymore. But this is your basic screen right here. This is basically your main score screen. You have a history here. You can see some of my testing that I've done here, and you can see a bar chart right here shows that I've done 6 sessions, 16 shots, an average score of 90, and so on. So the Learn button, allows you to touch a section on this circular donut here and learn more about it. But first, let's go back right to the beginning. This circular donut here, when you fire the gun, the feedback that you'll get will be, you might have a section in red, and that is the section that will also give you some comments on what's wrong with your shooting. So if we go back to learn, let's say this section is in red right here. If we touch that, you'll get a description screen here, which is called thumbing, too much trigger finger. If we had red over here, slapping the trigger means the trigger is pulled too rapidly without paying attention. So you have this little training mechanism that will allow you to understand what the donut says, or what the donut is telling you. This one is too little trigger finger, and so on. So you can go through and you can learn a little bit more about what each one of those, each segment of that donut indicates about your shooting. The last option over here is the settings, and the settings start off with at the top of the screen here. You can choose whether it's a pistol or rifle, and I have it selected for pistol as that's what we're testing. The current firearm, you can go in and you can do select firearm, and you can scroll down the list. And you can see there's quite a few guns on the list. I'm going to do Smith & Wesson. And then you've got all of the Smith & Wesson guns right here. So M&P Shield, and we're going to do 9mm, and that's how you select your current firearm. You also have the option to specify whether you're a right or a left-handed shooter. You can also specify here whether you're doing live fire, dry fire, or CO2. I have dry practice selected. The device mounting position, this goes back to what I mentioned about forwards or backwards. The Mantis X, this flat end here is the front, the USB port is the rear. So this is configured for forwards. That means this is facing the front of the gun. In some situations you may have to install this backwards, and if that's the case you would want to come into the configuration menu and select backwards. Further down this selection screen we have the device mount location. So what that basically says is I've got the Mantis mounted on the top Picatinny rail, on the left side of the handguard, the right side, or on the bottom. On most pistols it'll probably be on the bottom. There isn't a specific option to choose mounting on the magazine, so the bottom would indicate the underside of your handgun as well as the magazine. The bullseye mode, which is turns off, bullseye mode automatically zooms in the trace view to the window of best fit and displays the trace for 3 seconds before the shot and 1 second after. It's also CPU intensive and can make zooming on the trace very difficult. That's turned off. And we've got a reported issue. If you're having an issue with this or it's not working right, you can report an issue. Disconnect Bluetooth basically disconnects your phone from the Mantis. And then the sync account data. I haven't tested that. I do believe that that is the option to upload your data to the website, and hence why you would have to create an account for that. So that's basically what's involved with getting the software downloaded, installed on your phone, and getting it synced to the Mantis. So with that done, let's go ahead and move forward and actually do some dry fire testing. Alright, so if you're ready to dry fire, you want to make sure that your firearm is unloaded and that your magazine has no ammunition. If you're using snap caps, that's a different scenario. I'm dry firing this without snap caps. So now one thing to note about dry firing is with guns specifically like the Smith & Wesson Shield here, I have to rack the slide after each shot. I have to eject the magazine to do that. So those types of excess movements can cause erroneous readings with the MANTISX software. If you're live firing, they suggest you take a minimum of 6 shots before you actually go in and take a look at your data, so it can compile an average to kind of tell you what exactly is going wrong with your shooting style. For the purposes of this demonstration and the dry firing, I'm going to do 1 shot at a time, and we'll take a look at the results. So go ahead and get this ready, and we're going to press the start, and you're going to take aim at your target like you would normally do using your standard stance, and dry fire your pistol. Alright, so this gave me a feedback of 93.3. See, I've got a little bit of red right there which says tightening grip while pulling trigger means that as the trigger is pulled, the grip gets progressively tighter. Since pulling the trigger creates additional pressure on the grip, the shooter might make grip tighter to compensate for that added pressure. That's a typical shooting problem I have. I am aware of that. So this is, but you can see that I have been trying to correct that particular problem. So the score on here is actually fairly good at 93.3. Now what you can do after you've taken 1 shot or several shots, you've got several different screens. You can scroll over and you can take a look at this particular screen, and you've got some more data here about hold movement and trigger press movement. And over here you have more of a bullseye screen that kind of shows you where you're going off on your shooting. And what we can do is we can go back and we can do another shot. So we can do another shot here. We can start it. And on this shot, I'm going to purposely try to make it bad by just yanking the trigger. And that one didn't register for some reason. Probably because I was getting an email while I was trying to use the phone. Let's go ahead and reset this. Alright, okay, I need to reset it and do start. And I'm going to do an actual bad shot this time, so I'm just going to yank the trigger. Okay, so I purposely yanked the trigger and pulled back on the gun, and it basically says that the breaking wrist upwards. Breaking wrist up means that the wrist relaxed during the trigger and the handgun moved up from the aiming position. To correct this issue, keep the wrists locked and straight during the trigger pull. I did that on purpose, and that was exactly the response I expected to see from the software. Alright, let's do another shot here. So average score on that was 5.2. And we're reset it again. Nope, I guess we need to start it first. Alright, now that we have it restarted. And we didn't get a score on that one. Let's try this one more time. And we didn't get a score on that one either. Let's try this one more time. And we didn't get a score on that one either. I'm going to reset the software program, and we'll be right back and try this one more time. Okay, I went ahead and put my phone in airplane mode, so Wi-Fi and everything, email and everything else is turned off. I'm not sure if that was interfering with the software. Alright, so we're ready to start again. Alright, this time I purposely moved moved my wrist to the left, and it gave me a score of 10.8, and the indicator means the gun moved to the left off a target. Two little trigger finger means that the pressure applied by the trigger finger during the trigger pull was uneven. This issue is caused by an incorrect placement of the index finger on the trigger. The trigger is pulled with the tip of the index finger instead of the pad. To correct the issue, place the center of the pad of the index finger in the middle of the trigger and pull uniformly backwards. Okay, and we'll do one more. And this time I'm going to try and do an absolute perfect shot. .6. You see about just a little bit of movement right down there. Just a little sliver of red. Tightening fingers means that the grip is too tight. There is a point at which gripping the firearm harder will only exacerbate the natural arc of movement due to excessive tension in the hand and arm muscles, and so on and so on. And you can see our history here. We have 20 shots, sessions, average score, last 10. So and there's our tightening grip 15%, tightening fingers 15%, breaking wrist up 25%. And of course you can apply filters up here. This basically, we can go in and we can specify if you're doing different guns and you're collecting data on different guns. I do believe this allows you to filter in between which ones you're looking at. So by default it's set for all, so it's basically going to show everything on the screen. And our bar chart again, and I don't believe there is anything that Good Shot says. And then our bullseye target. So that's basically the tool and how it functions. I have not yet had a chance to do live fire with this. I've only been doing the testing with the dry fire. I do a lot more dry fire than I do live fire. I found that this tool has been very helpful in telling me what my issues are. Of course, the instructors that I have worked with in the past have told me the exact same problems as what this program is telling me. So, and that's not saying a lot for my shooting capabilities. My instructors have said, hey, you need to fix this, and I still haven't fixed it, and the software is telling me, hey, you need to fix this. Well, that just goes to show you that I haven't worked on my particular shooting issues enough to get them corrected. But anyway, the Mantis X, very happy with what I've seen so far, from the packaging, the presentation, the functionality, the software. Aside from the little glitchy time that we had there with the software not recognizing the shots, I'm pretty sure that's because I have too much stuff going on in the background on the phone. You might want to put your phone in airplane mode while you're doing this so you don't run into any particular hiccups with email and phone calls coming in and texts and everything going on in the background. Probably not a good idea to have that all going on while you're trying to focus on your shooting here, and you don't want anything interrupting the connection between the phone and the Mantis X. So Mantis also updates the software quite regularly. So when you install this, you should get alerts on your Android device or your iOS device that there are software updates available. If not, you can go into the App Store and it will tell you which applications have updates to install. So it's probably best that you check back every few weeks or so to get the newest update for the software. I will have a link in the description for the Mantis X. If you want to go to their website and pick one of these up, you can follow the link in the description. So that's going to conclude this tabletop review and dry fire test of the Mantis X.